Hello and welcome to today's video. I'm extremely excited because today we're going to dive in to Helium 10's accuracy and specifically to identify how accurate Helium 10 is in estimating Amazon product sales volume and comparing Helium 10 to the Viral Launch, Jungle Scout, and eGrow Amazon product research tools to find, number one, which one is the most accurate, and then number two is how accurate overall is even the most accurate tool, and just kind of see the difference there. And what I've done here, as you can see, and I'll kind of explain this mess here and make it very, very simple, hopefully for you to understand, is I took 5 products, both from myself and one of my clients, which you can see here, product A, B, C, D, and E in the far kind of left-hand column, or my left hand, I guess, right here in column B. And I looked at the actual sales volume for these products because I have the access and I have the actual data there. And I put it here in column F, and I compared the actual sales data to the estimated sales data from the following tools, which are Helium 10, Viral Launch, Jungle Scout, and eGrow over both the past 30 days and also over the past 60 days, which I'll explain why in a second. So first, the last thing I'll kind of explain before I kind of dive in and explain to you kind of my grading and all of that and look at the accuracy is that some of these products, as you can see, 2 of the 5 products have an N here, where the other 3 have a Y. So this indicates, or this column indicates, a listing that has only one product, so no variations, just one product with no variations, receives an N, meaning no variations. And then the other 3 products, product B, C, and D, are each products that have variations. And the reason I included this column and want to kind of call out, because this could help you as you're kind of, if you ever pause the video and want to look at the data for yourself, feel free, whatever kind of works for you, is that I've found that Amazon product research tools tend to perform differently based on listings that have variations and those that do not. So what I did is, if a particular listing had multiple variations, what I did across all of the tools except for eGrow, which I'll explain in a second, but for Helium 10, Viral Launch, and Jungle Scout, for listings that had variations, this Y, what I did is I went to Amazon, clicked on the Chrome extension for my product listing or my client's product listing, and looked at the past and looked at the estimated sales for each variation. And what you'll notice if you've ever used these tools in the past, and something, a little hack to kind of keep in mind, or something really, really important that I talk about in all my courses, I talk about my Facebook group, if you guys have followed me for a while, is that what you'll want to do is look at whichever variation that the tool tells you is generating the most monthly sales, okay? That number is likely a better depiction of how well the listing performs overall. So basically, what you might find is you go to Amazon, type in some product idea, find, kind of click on a product page, and then load the Helium 10 Chrome extension or Viral Launch or whatever, and it will tell you, maybe, this variation makes 8,000 a month, and this one makes 8,000, and this one makes 8,000 a month, and this one makes 8,000 a month. And you're like, oh wow, I guess each variation is making $8,000 a month, so maybe this listing is making, $40,000 a month. No, the reality is you want to look at whichever variation has the highest kind of number. So maybe one of the variations the Helium 10 estimates is generating $8,100. Okay. That variation, that's probably how much the whole listing is making. That's probably how all the variations combined are making. So it's probably not making 40,000. The whole listing is probably making 8,100, for example. Okay, so that's the way I kind of went about it. And I did a little bit of testing and tested a few things out. And this is true that this was kind of the most accurate depiction. Again, it wasn't 100% accurate, which I'll talk about in a second, but it was the most accurate. So again, for Helium 10, Viral Launch, and Jungle Scout, I went onto each of my product pages or my client's product page, and I looked at the estimated sales volume for the highest sales volume for whichever variation was the most, and then I set that as kind of estimated as the overall listing. So I hope I made that clear. If that's a little bit confusing or anything else, have any questions or anything else you'd like to add, let me know in the comment section. But I think I spent enough time on that specifically. Just want to explain that. And the last thing is with eGrow, what I did is what I found just kind of with the tool, which you can actually kind of see from here, is a little bit more volatile compared to some of the other tools, is I took the sum of all of the sales estimates for each variation. So instead of taking the high sales estimate, I kind of combined them all, and I found that was more accurate for eGrow. However, as you'll see here in a second, eGrow even then was still not very accurate, had a lot of variability, which we'll cover. And then finally, the very last thing is So again, these are 5 products. These are 5 products that I have real access, 100% accurate. I rounded up to the nearest dollar here, so it's not to the exact cent, but really that's not going to make any difference at all in the grand scheme of things whatsoever. But the key is, I would love to have had a data bank of 100 products or 1,000 products where I knew for definitive fact the exact sales volume for those products. However, I do not. And I want to be very careful in who I trust online. If they say, oh, well, I use this tool and here's the data that I got. Well, I don't know if they're telling the truth or not. So I'm personally going to be a little bit skeptical, and you should absolutely be as well. And should absolutely be testing these tools just like I have. And by the way, if the data is accurate, it should hold up somewhat with your own products or your client's products. So I would love to hear, you kind of going through the exact same process, very, very simple process that I'm going to show you, and running it yourself. Let us know in the Facebook group. Let me know in the comments some of your results. Again, I'm going to personally take it with a grain of salt because, again, I don't know who you are and if you're telling the truth or not for a lot of you, but that's just kind of my process. And that's why I didn't have more products, because I only want to focus on those that I have definitive data for, but also because I don't have a data set of 100 or 1,000 products, take it with a grain of salt, because if maybe I analyze 100, the results could be a little bit different one way or the other. However, with 5 products, we're going to see some clear consistencies that are really interesting to point out, that I definitely believe that if I had a larger data set and had more products to kind of analyze, that this would kind of hold true for those products as well. So with all that being said, I know it was a lot. Let's go ahead and actually dive in, and feel free to pause or whatever is best for you at any time. So going here with product A, what I've done is I've assorted the products from highest actual revenue to lowest actual monthly revenue over the past 30 days in this sheet, and we'll go cover the last 60 days in the other sheet. And what I did is, like I said, simple. Here's the actual data here in column F of the actual sales data. And then in each of these columns, we have the estimated sales volume for the past 30 days using Helium 10, Viral Launch, Jungle Scout, and then eGrow in this last column. Okay. And how I did this little kind of color grading system to make things a little bit more visually easy to understand. And basically, I went through and took the absolute value of the difference between the actual sales data and the estimated sales data. So basically, just to summarize, so for those of you a little bit more analytical, I just took the absolute value difference between kind of the two, the estimated and the actual, whichever was the lowest received the highest score. The second closest, or the second lowest received the second highest, and so on and so on. But just to keep things simple, basically, whichever estimate was the closest to the actual sales data, that received a dark green kind of highlight, okay? The second closest, or kind of like the second place, received a light green. The third place received yellow, and the least accurate I highlighted in red. Just for kind of some quick reference, just so you know. So in product A, we have Viral Launch being the most accurate. Actual data is around 60,500. Viral Launch estimated 55,500, so not too bad. In second place, we had Jungle Scout being the second most accurate at 54, so fairly close to Viral Launch here. Third, we have Helium 10 at almost 45,000, and then eGrow here at 19.5. So that's just kind of for product A. Product B, again, we have Viral Launch as the closest estimate to the actual at 10,164 compared to 14,300. Jungle Scout being number 2, Helium 10 number 3, and then eGrow number 4, right? And you can kind of do the same thing, so on and so on. Pretty straightforward, but some kind of clear things to call out here is consistently for all 5 products, Viral Launch was the closest, okay? But Helium 10 was the second closest, all right? So that's just kind of to keep in mind for perspective. And you can kind of go through and see the actual accuracy. Look how far off some of these are. So for example, 60,000 or 60,500. Look how far off both Viral Launch, even the closest was to the past 30 days. You may be surprised at how close it is. You may be surprised at how far away it is, right? We all have different kind of expectations for these tools, especially as new sellers. We don't really know, but hopefully you can just kind of see the data for yourself and pause the video and look. But for me, this is in my view, it's fairly surprisingly and impressively accurate for how close both Viral Launch and Helium 10 are. Then we have, Jungle Scout being kind of in the middle, a little bit less accurate than these two tools, and eGrow being in dead last. I found that eGrow had the least variability, which really, really honestly surprised me and shocked me, and means I'm going to be actually updating some of my content in my course, by the way, on Udemy and Skillshare, just so you guys know. A lot of updates coming here in November based on some of this data that I've collected that you see right in front of you. And another call out that I want to make, besides viral launch and helium-10 being the most accurate, or for this data set being the most accurate, is that, as you can see, the further the higher the actual revenue is, so that the higher the real 30-day revenue is for these products, the less accurate these tools get. Okay, so if you look at the variance difference, and again, it's not necessarily just by dollar amount necessarily. You could also look at the percentage. So kind of the percent variance versus the actual total amount. But you can kind of see the variance in these lower revenue, monthly revenue products down here, and versus some of these higher up here. Just something to kind of keep in mind if you're looking into kind of those more competitive or kind of higher volume niches versus those those lower volume. Just keep in mind the variance and how greatly it can vary. I mean, if you look here, this is about 55.5. This is 60. Right, that's a $5,000 difference, which could be a kind of a big deal if you're projecting numbers. I mean, that's a pretty big deal versus a difference of, I'm not going to do this in my head. I probably should have prepared beforehand, but 2,600 versus 3,700, a lot less than $5,000 difference, right? So just, again, something to keep in mind. It's one of literally like 1,000 reasons why I recommend for new sellers to enter less competitive markets. This is another kind of reason why is when you're using tools for the first time. And again, you should not be basing all of your decisions on one of these tools. There should be multiple tools at play. I like to look at other e-commerce platforms. I like to look at Pinterest. I like to look at Google search volume. That's actually one of my top product research tools is I use Mangools, but you can also use Ubersuggest. Sorry, so kind of going on a rant there, but just some things to keep in mind and hopefully helpful. So viral launch helium-10, pretty impressive, really interesting. What I was also interested in is this is for the past 30 days. So within the past 30 days, and even in the past 60 days, a lot of things have changed. So for some of these listings that had variations, some of the variations went out of stock. We launched new variations, right? So there's some changes that are happening, which is a good thing because the reality is, in real life, Amazon products and listings are constantly changing and evolving. So you want a tool that is catching up with those changes. It'd be unfair for me to just only include listings that were, that nothing ever went out of stock, that everything was consistent. But that's why I have these 5 different products. All 5 products, some of them were in stock the entire 30-day and 60-day period. Others that have variations, some went out of stock, some went out, some went in of stock. And all 5 of these listings, by the way, and these products are in completely different categories. I forgot to mention that. So that's over the past 30 days. Next, and lastly, looking at the past 60 days to see if there's any difference. Do the exact same thing. Here's the actual sales data in column D. And then here is the estimates for Helium-10, Viral Launch, Jungle Scout, and eGrow. And something interesting is that if we look over the past 60 days, a couple things actually. So number one is that Viral Launch and Helium-10 are actually equal in terms of their overall accuracy, or not necessarily equal, but very, very similar in terms of their overall accuracy, okay, when looking at the past 60 days, right? And it's, by the way, when I say the past 60 days, this is not the sales volume for the past 60 days. This is the average monthly revenue over the past 60 days. So basically what I did is I looked at the past 60 days of revenue and divided that by 2. Okay, so for example, in this case, it would have been over 100, 130, somewhat, I don't know, somewhere around 130,000 for the past 60 days, and I divide that. So this is the average for the past 2 months. Okay, and then when we do that here, so the average for the past 2 months here, right, all the way down for all products, we see that Helium-10 Viral Launch are much closer in terms of their accuracy and still are the top 2 accurate. So for the last 30 days and 60 days, Viral Launch and Helium-10 are the most accurate, which actually really I was grateful for because I've been talking about how great Viral Launch and Helium-10 are, but it's been a while since I've done a test like this. So I'm just happy to know that they're still kind of the top 2, and they're still the top 2 that I recommend. If you're in any of my courses on Udemy or Skillshare, you know this is the case. Big fans of both of these tools, and both tools have a free have free trials, by the way, which you should fully take advantage of if you're in the kind of the product research phase. Okay, and the last thing I kind of want to note about this data set is that what I've noticed is overall Helium-10 tends to skew a little bit lower than the actual data, where Viral Launch tends to skew a little bit higher than the actual data. So for product 1 here in the top case, and I'll show you also for the past 30 days, but for the past, the average monthly revenue over the past 60 days, all the products were low in estimating the actual revenue. But if we look for the remaining products, Helium-10 was a little bit below, right? The estimated 8,000, almost 8,100 versus 8,800, where viral launch was above at 10,000. Okay. Then we look again. Here's the actual data, 7,300. Helium 10 was below at 6,300. Viral launch was above at 11,000. Right. The actual was 4,000. Again, these cases, they were both lower, but viral launch still estimated higher than Helium 10. And then lastly, we have right around 2,000. We have Helium 10 estimating below 10,000, and then viral launch estimating above. So what that indicates to me is, so great, they're both very accurate, highly accurate tools. One tends to estimate a little bit lower, one's a little bit higher. What I like to do, and I've always done this, and the data just shows and kind of reaffirms what I've already been doing for so long, is to use both tools together. Both tools together will likely give you a more accurate picture, where if you're just using viral launch, you can maybe expect, at least based on this data set, that the estimated revenue will be higher than the actual, okay? Where with Helium 10, it might be a little bit lower. So it can just be helpful keeping that in mind, but in general, and I've always done this, and I talk about this a lot if you followed me, is to use both tools, okay? And I'm not trying to push any affiliate links. I am affiliates of all these tools. I want to make that completely honest. But I am affiliates of all the tools. So I'm not going to prioritize one over the other. But I encourage you, if you plan on using these tools, use their free trials. You don't have to pay necessarily, or maybe just pay for 1 month. Okay. I know that both my affiliate manager for Helium 10 Viral Launch are not going to like me saying that, but my goal here is to help you. It's not to push affiliate links. Okay. So I want to make that very, very clear, and that's kind of wrapping up. So I hope you found this valuable. If you like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and just letting you know that there are coupon codes for all of these codes. And yes, they are affiliate links in the description section if you're interested. But like I already said, use the free trials as much as you can, kind of max those out. And if you still need to use the tool, those affiliate links and those discount codes are there in the description section and the comment section that you can come back to this video and get whenever you need, if you ever need them. Okay, so just letting you know that, and also letting you know that all affiliate links in the description and in this video and in previous and future videos, I do get a certain percentage of each sale that is made. So if you like the video and want to support me that way, as many have in the past, which I'm so incredibly grateful and thankful for, you can do that. Or if you prefer not to support me and still get the tool, go to Google, type in Helium 10 or Viral Launch or whatever, and go get the tool that way. So whatever works best for you, that's what I want for you. So just making that very clear. Hope you liked the video. Give it a thumbs up. If you had any questions or anything else you'd like to add that you believe would help the community, let us know in the comment section, and be just sure to join our AMZ Escape Plan Facebook group, where I'm able to post a lot more frequently, a lot more updates and things like that. So a lot of great data and case studies in there as well. And then lastly, if you like this video and would like to see other videos like this, analytical case studies, in-depth tutorials, all of that, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell for more, so that you don't miss out. And as always, like I said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support. I hope you found this immensely valuable, and hopefully ultimately improves your business and your life. Until next time, I'll see ya.